folks, Captain Mike here from Salty Cape, and we are heading east of Chatham here on Cape Cod for our first tuna trip of the year. It's a little sporty out, and we're going to get right to it because I can see some fish popping right now. So the approach we're running today is really the albie playbook. It's funny, we got east winds, it's cold, it's late June, it should be hot out here, but it's left this morning at 55 degrees, east wind, water even looks like October. So the bluefin today, there are a variety of sizes, they're popping up. Sometimes they're staying up for a while, other times it's just short little bursts. So we're using a technique called walk and gun, and we're keeping in gear. When they pop up, we can close the distance with just a quick turn if we're close. This all sort of happened so fast. Rigged and ready to go, fortunately. We're about 2 or 3 miles from our intended destination, east of Chatham at the Regal Sword. Just sort of getting our bearings straight, looking at the fish finder, getting tuned in, and all of a sudden, boom, a small pot of bluefin were just crushing bait. We couldn't see what bait they were, but there they were. Grabbed the Hogy Tuna braid olive color epoxy jig because sand eels are a common forage out here, so the olive color. Threw it right in the fillet. A couple of twitches, paws, reeled, just like albies. Just bigger outfit, same deal. Right in the pod. Sped it up, dropped it, twitch, twitch, pause, pause, boom, here we are. Nice and perfect. You got a good job. Get some slack. Ready? Yep. Nice job, right in the head. Watch that treble hook by your hands. First day of the tuna season, it's June 22nd, I think. 55 degrees, leaving my house this morning. East winds, feels a lot like albie season. And this bluefin tuna popped up in a pod that pretty much was just like how albies do it back in home court. And it's funny, right down to the olive color epoxy jig that we had rigged and ready to go. We know these fish have been keyed in on sand eels. So here we are. Great first trip of the season. Great kickoff to the whole season. Thumbs up if I had them free. And here we go. Let's stress this fish down and get right back at it. So the Hogy Epoxy Jig Lure is really a great lure for casting for pretty much any species. Why? Because it's 3 lures in one. You got 3 different retrieves. You got a fast topwater skippy retrieve, a tip down intermediate retrieve, and a slow and low steady retrieve. So I'm going to start with a skippy retrieve. This lure launches a mile with this kind of outfit, and I'll launch it. Got the wind behind me, got this way out. I'm going to quickly engage, get control of my line. Now, skippy retrieve is I can get my tip up high, get this bait skipping on the surface, simulating like a fleeing bait fish going, oh, boom, 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 across the surface. Now, the other one I like, the one I caught 2 fish so far today on, is the tip down intermediate. I've got my tip pointed toward the water. Now I'm going to twitch, 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 pause, twitch, 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 pause, twitch, 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 pause. This is a 4-ounce jig, so it's going boom, 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 then it's going to sink. Then lastly, you got the slow and low. I'm out of line here, so I'm going to recast. Send that out. And then the slow and low, it's not too tricky to figure that one out. I have my tip pointed to the water. It's just a slow, steady retrieve. Now the epoxy jig is just sort of wobbling. I can give it a pause. Now this lure is going to sink down 15, 20 feet. The amount of time that I'm just talking about, it's sinking down 15 or 20 feet. Now I can re-engage. So it's great about the slow and low. When you drop it, you can fish, like a span in the water column, and then bring it back, and then you can speed it up with the tip down intermediate retrieve. And 9 times out of 10, casting for tuna, my 2 favorite retrieves with the epoxy jig lure is a combination between the tip down intermediate retrieve, where I'm twitch, twitch, pause, twitch, twitch, pause, medium retrieve speed. Then if I don't get anything, I'll let it pause, let that lure sink, Slow, steady retrieve. If I see fish vectoring in on it, I'll spit it up, twitch, 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 pause, stall it, medium, slow, boom. You really can't fish this jig wrong. And, you know, but for me, I just break it down between those three. Skipping on the surface, make it dance and dart, or slow and low, fishing multiple levels in the water column. So we put in today in Falmouth Harbor. We made the run east to the area known as the Regal Sword. Now the Regal Sword itself is a wreck just to the east of the shipping lanes. And when I say Regal Sword, I'm really talking about a 4 by 4 mile square area. Now today we didn't even quite make it to the Regal Sword. We were in the lanes about 4 or 5 miles east of the Regal Sword itself, but just the general area. Now it's an awesome place. For whatever reason, it pulls a ton of bait. Early in the season, there's a lot of sand eels, mackerel, herring, you name it. If tuna eat it, you'll find it there. There's something for everybody, the Regal Sword. Today we're topwater casting for tuna. The area is known for, you know, live baiting for big giants, smaller topwater fish. It's just an awesome place. They can pretty much count on tuna being in the area. So they went down, we saw them on the side scan, and here we are, hooked up. It's like sight fishing, but without seeing them. So I have this fish on the downwind side, clearing the outboards. I want to have the boat be on the downwind side so we don't drift over it like we just did. Sometimes you can't control where you hook up. That's the advantage of a longer rod. Clear those outboards. So I'm just swinging the boat to the starboard a little bit. We're downwind, which is good, but this fish is getting a little forward. I like to have my operating space right here in the corner. So what I like about having the epoxy jig rigged with these Tropic Star trebles from VMC is once you're hooked, you're pretty much buttoned up. It's really hard to lose fish on these, but they are a treble hook, and we've kept one fish. How many tuna do you need? We got one small one out of the gate, so we're releasing fish now. So I am going to dehook this fish and spin back to the port, again trying to keep this fish off our corner here. So my job as captain here is maintaining proper boat position. I like to have the working space right off the corner here, and sometimes there's nothing you can do, but just more focused on spinning the bow, port and starboard, just to keep this operating space in our focus point here. Now this fish is doing the spiral thing. It's just a little deeper than I'd like for this. We don't have color. So we're probably just in the range where we don't have color. In the lighting today, I'm guessing that's about 30 feet down. So now we're upwind. Jack, I'm gonna come over the port. It's gonna sound intuitive. Get ready to punch that rod in the water to clear the outboards. I wanna get the boat downwind of this fish, so we don't drift over it. See, just an easy bow movement. Now we're back where we wanna be. Most everything can be corrected at the helm, just small, steady, calm adjustments. Now I think this fish is doing the spiral thing. And it's gonna come, it'll feel a little scary for a minute, but it's gonna come around the clockwise way. This is the scary point, and this is right around where he's putting a little pressure on the spool. Oftentimes that'll change the direction of the fish to come back around, just like it did. Nice job, Jack. Now, if you take a step back, I can grab the line of this hook. Set up the leader. Now it's a quick maneuver. So we've got this boat in gear to swim this fish. To dehook it, it's going to grab the bend of the hook and pop him. That easy. Here's the outfit we're using today. Starting with the reel, this is a Stella 18,000 class reel. This is an oldie but goodie. I've had this for a few years. 80-pound test braid, 80-pound test fluorocarbon leader. Today we connected it with an FG knot. The rod we're using today is the Hogy 7-foot medium heavy tuna spinning rod. And lastly, connecting to the Hogy Epoxy Jig with a barrel swivel, connected to a split ring, connected to a 4-ounce Hogy Tuna Epoxy Jig, and olive. We're using the olive to imitate sand eels. Just going to take a quick second to deep dive on the rod, starting with the soft gimbal butt on the back. What I like about that is I prefer not to fight a fish with a fighting belt, so it's just a little soft touch on the back. So it also has a short butt. I like to fight the fish off my hip as opposed to in the center with a fighting belt. And so, the short butt keeps the rod, everything close in, so I'm not, extended out, reaching out. So it's maintaining my arm strength throughout the battle. Now, this extended foregrip allows me to have the butt close, a straight angle on my arm, straight angle, and wherever's comfortable for me. I like a little bit of a bend, and then so I'm good to go. So when I'm fighting a fish with this rod off my hip, my PVC bibs gives a little extra insulation. I can bend my knees down, sit, use my quads, use my core muscles to really put pressure on the fish. And having a short butt like this is key with that fighting style. Now the rod itself has a very parabolic action. It's definitely a medium heavy tuna stick, again, geared for, medium size bluefin tuna, big casting fish, a couple 100 pounds, that sort of thing. But the rod itself is on the softer end of the spectrum. And you can see we're rocking and rolling today. So when you're fighting fish, when you come up and down on a wave, if you have an inexperienced angler, this rod's going to be very forgiving in the sense it'll be bent over. When you come down, the rod will flex less and then go back. So you're minimizing the amount of slack you can put in the fish. It's a carbon fiber rod, so you can put all the boots on in the world. You can see this rod just folds over and puts a massive amount of pressure on the fish, but not so much that it's going to put a massive amount of pressure on me, the angler. I'm in my late 40s and I need a rod that can be a little forgiving for me fighting fish. Few takeaways from today. Number one, don't always trust the weather 100%. Sort of be rigged and ready for a hardcore day. It was supposed to be a duck pond today, but it was surfs up, so I'm glad I had all the extra gear. I'm even cold, it's June, but the ride to the boat was 55 degrees. If I didn't have this on top of the wind, it would have been a long day. Number two, be rigged and ready for the run out. We were in make our own report mode, so we're ready to make a long run, and we had our lures rigged and ready to go based on what we were, all the different scenarios we can imagine. And we found fish a full 6 or 7 miles from where we were expecting to find them. And we converted into a hookup in very short order, maybe under 15 seconds from coming down on plane. And that could have been the only fish of the day. And lastly, number 3, I don't remember what my point was, but just get out and go fishing. You're not gonna catch fish on your couch.